Welcome to our breakaway session for DXC on the topic Embracing Sustainable Modernization, Going Beyond the Barriers of Change. Now, I'd like to call upon Mr. Karan to take over the session.
Thank you. Thank you. So you don't need a mic, right? It's quite an intimate gathering. Thank you for joining us. Thanks a lot, everyone. I guess it's been a exhilarating couple of days now. No, yesterday and today you've been, following. I was there in the. Do we need a mic? Do you? Yeah. Yeah. Good. Okay, fine. Yeah. So I was following up the session. Like yesterday, there was. I think it started off with Matthew talking about. Future, and then there's a gentleman from Siemens, I guess he came in from a sustainability perspective. Thank you. Okay. See what we have and what we thought to discuss about today. It's really not about any offering or any service line which we want to really talk about. But we really want to talk about a concept here. Everyone wants to modernize. Everyone wants to get on to the next, next wave. The next, how do you get in the next business breakthrough and so on. But then IT as a strong enabler. The idea was, how do you do it in a way which is good for the business, beneficial as well as sustainable, and that is becoming like the buzzword. I have with me, my colleagues, like they've been about 30 years of experience, across delivering, across solutioning, and we thought we should just sort of structure it so that it becomes more of a discussion. I'm Karan. I lead marketing for DXC in India, as well as I also work for the various partners we've got, whether it is applications or infra. I wanted to give you a bit of what we'll cover in the agenda. So not a lot of stuff. We'll talk about what DXC is. Some of you probably been knowing about us. Some of you may not. So we'll just sort of do that. And then I'll hand it over to Shantanu, who is the head of solutioning for DXC in India, and talks through some of these concepts around how tech debt is accumulating, how do you go about solving it, what DXC has done, so that we can in our own small way tell you what it is. And then I think the hero part of the session is something wherein Kumran comes and talks how we have actually done it for a large insurance customer. And then we'll sort of open up for for your questions, right? So DXC, some numbers on your screen, but let me give you the story, right? It's 2017, April is when we came into being. We are HP Enterprise Services and CSC, the Computer Science Corporation, coming together. About 60 plus, 70 plus years of experience now, and counting across, you could say, all ID service lines, infra, apps, analytics, security, whatever. We've got about, if I were to take a number right, 127,000 employees, one third of whom are in India. So that is the knowledge base which we leverage upon. I'll sort of show you what we do in India as well. And yeah, I mean, we've been working with a lot of Fortune 500 customers as well. In India, we are across 7 locations, the usual IT hubs you would call. We've got about 42,000 people in the country. Now, these people are serving the globes, but serving the global customers, but then these people have got that experience and the talent also to serve the Indian customers. There are about 775 plus customers. Now, this is like an exact number. Maybe, earlier this year, this would have gone up. In India, we would be having about 100 plus customers as well. We serve a lot of large banks, insurance companies, manufacturing, CPG, and so on and so forth. I mean, some smattering of certifications and partners. And this is, you could say, like a snapshot of what we do across industry verticals across the globe. Some numbers for your consumption, just to give you, I would say, the seriousness of what we wanted to convey, what we are in for, and that is what DXC is for us. Yeah. In the country, I would say, we've got about customers which are like 20 plus years and running. So typically managed services, application management, modernization and so on. Now what I'll do is I'll hand over to Shantanu, take up the topic of sustainable modernization. Please feel free to have as many questions as you have. Just sort of stop us. Absolutely okay. Also, we'll probably do some sort of a interactive thing in the middle, taking all of your feedbacks, and then there are certain pages which you would see, right? There's a feedback form. There is something within how we go about doing our IT modernization on the tables. Please feel free to use them as well. Shant, over to you.
Thank you, Karan. And thanks to all of you for making time for our session. Thank you very much. So, modernization, we all know, right? We are all familiar. You are all CXOs and executives in your respective organizations. You are handling, managing, living modernization day in and day out. As an IT service company, we are also, in this journey together with you. But the genesis of this, the concept about tech debt, as we call it, technical debt or technology debt, you can call it, what the industry is thinking, what customers are thinking, what people like you are thinking. So we did a survey in around 2022-23 time frame. It started around that time and finished, of 750 plus global executives as to what do they think the barriers for change. Right, because modernization or any change, primarily you will do only if you have a problem, and that problem is essentially, or most of the times, is something like a barrier. That barrier can be a technical barrier, a business barrier, or all of the same. So this is kind of a summarization of the survey results, that what are the 10 major areas which are barriers for your change. And if you see, most of them will be very, very familiar to you. You must be dealing with them day in and day out, right? So legacy systems, lack of executive buy-in and funding for continuing something which is essential, vendor lock-ins, technology dependencies, skill gaps, complexity of projects, and so on and so forth. I'm not going into each of them. But these are very fundamental and very real challenges and barriers that you face, right? And a follow-up question was, how many of those people who were surveyed, or the executives who were surveyed, think that it's a tech issue, or it's a business issue, or it's a both. And the results are in front of you. I think overwhelmingly everybody is saying that it is both a tech issue and a business issue, right? So today's world, we all know, we are in this big tech forum in Kolkata, and everybody is talking about disruptive AIs and so on. So we all acknowledge that the technology barriers are no longer technology barriers, they are business barriers as well. And then the follow-up question was, what according to you would be the major areas of change that you are foreseeing? And the results are kind of organized in terms of number of or order of priority. But I think now we are getting down to the actual IT or technology landscape of the problem. Overwhelmingly, people are saying four things. That architecture has to be modified. Now, that can be interpreted in various ways. It can be more cloud native, more, open technologies, and so on and so forth. The second is, cloud native we spoke about. Automation, AI, ML adoption of new technologies, and digital products and pipelines in the final position. So these are some of the top answers which came from the survey. So then we got down to thinking that what we can do and how we can help our customers in this journey. And we developed a methodology. And that methodology is, again, not a rocket science. We would have done this kind of methodology for any project, so to speak. But we start with a fact-finding workshop. What is happening in your estate? What is going right? What is not going right? How to improve? Where to put your money, right, for this modernization or change? Who are the stakeholders? How they are thinking about it? Then executive tech debt boot camps, risk assessment and findings, submission of findings and discussion and next steps. Next steps is actually when you get down to execute things, right? This is you can say the assessment and findings and then submitting that. Some of the artifacts that we use are business value frameworks, worldly mappings, sources of risks and opportunities, what should be the future business model look like, and the roadmap. Roadmap in the sense, how do you mitigate the technology debt or technical debt. One thing I forgot to mention, when we did this interview and the results came in, whether it's a business issue or tech issue, a figure came out. The figure is, the overall figure that these executives believe that at least 35 to 40% of our cost is locked in our technology debt. And that is because of this. I'm going back to that same slide. So 35 to 40% of your IT operational costs are locked in because of one of this or many of this combination, right? So that is a very strong feedback that if you are running an IT enterprise and you are stuck with legacy systems, skill gaps, complexities, interoperability and so on, and 30 to 40% of your value of that estate is locked, which you can unlock and use in, more meaningful or more sustainable and more long-term projects, your landscape will change. So here, Karan, you...
So see, I mean, you've seen those 10 of those challenges or barriers to change. What we wanted if you could just sort of scan this code with your phones, we put some of the top 6 in a certain order, or rather, just sort of put them in. Now, when you scan them, you need to give us which is your maybe a top priority or top challenge which you face, and I can we quickly see right in the room how things stand, right, which probably is your the biggest challenge, and then the second and the third and fourth. So I think we've got the top 5 priorities for you. Let me see if I can also get you the...
Yeah, and why we are doing this is basically because after I stop, Kumaran is going to come, and Kumaran will give you a very real life example of one very large, big global customer where how the tech debt was addressed, what we have done, and what are the outcomes. And many of the problems that we show, the 10 trends and what not, are and going to be resonating with what Kumaran is going to speak. Legacy systems, skill gaps, interoperability, security, and vendor lock-ins. Very true. So I think more or less the similar results we get in most of the...
Yeah, we've actually done this exercise in Delhi, in Mumbai. Similar, you could say settings with CIOs, CXOs, and unerringly, I would say the results have been similar.
Yeah. So we'll talk about what is our approach, and Kumaran will throw some light on the actual case studies. Before that, just go back to Platform X.
Sure, we'll do that.
Yeah. So before I hand over to Kumaran for the case study, I want to talk about Platform X. Now, Platform X is, you said a very interesting term yesterday, right? Service as a product, or what was that? Service as a product. Service as a software, yeah. So this is service as a software. This is our offering in the sense that we use it cohesively with our delivery. We named it as Platform X. This is a combination of a lot of tools, standard market tools, and I'll tell you what are the tools, plus a DXC's 50, 60 years of data that we have from across our 700 plus customers, and the problems and the knowledge that we have gathered from there, all built into assets in terms of AI assets or bots or automations, which are plugged into this. There's a chair here. You can come here. Yeah, okay. So plugged into this whole offering. So what it offers is a unified observability, monitoring, and management platform, all coming to you as a service and not as isolated products, and giving you the unified view of your entire tech estate. So we use products, leading products like ServiceNow for IT service management. We use Dynatrace for observability and many other homegrown tools, as well as our AI assets and automation assets all put together. And some of the numbers you see, right? 25% average productivity, 30% reduction in incident volumes, up to 75% of automatically diagnosed, resolved. And we actually take pleasure in showing the actual use cases. It's not possible here, but if you give us a chance to talk, meet us and in a more detailed presentation, or you'd like to visit our Bangalore GDC campus where we can show you the actual case studies. And these are actual real numbers where the incidents, because this is all self-healing, self-diagnosed, automation-driven, AI-driven problem solving, and we can achieve these results, and which is happening as we speak. And this product has got a lot of awards and recognition. We still don't call it a product, it's a service, but it comes to you as a part of our overall service offering across infrastructure, applications, it doesn't matter. And these are some of the use cases. I think Kumaran is going to talk about one, and there are other very significant use cases. So again, if you are interested to know more about it, just let us know, our team, and we can have a presentation and also a visit if you wish to do so. Thank you, and I'll request Kumaran to come and present.
Thank you, Santanu. Okay, first of all, thank you for your time. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kumaran. I'm the global delivery executive for one of the large insurance customer, and I'm also the director of applications. So what I'm going to talk about next 20-30 minutes. Typically, we go through a actual use case. It's not a use case, the real implementation of the technical debt, what you have seen, how we have helped the customer to transform, embrace the modernization more sustainable way in order to eliminate the technical debt. Okay, that's a theme. You can actually see how we have done it. In fact, I led that whole program for this customer, so I'm here to share my experience and also help you how DXC actually have a systematic scientific approach in addressing this, right? And the number one challenge what you face is the technical debt in the legacy technology, right? So that's a primary and most of the problem in many clients. So if I had to drop a significant way, how the IT and application maturity model, okay? The engagement between yourself and the people like us, right? Start in ad hoc basis. Pretty much 80% of engagements stand at the stage 2, which is managed. In the sense, you have some contract, I have some contract, we just ensure that keep lights on. Okay? As long as your SLAs are met, we are trying to keep up the incidents under control, ensure that we don't go beyond. But that does not help you, right? That does not help you to, the way the technology are transforming today is exponential, right? So we need to catch up with the technical debt, which eventually risk your end customers. And also, it also, like we talk about sustainability, right? Having more servers, more data centers, generating more heat, more powers, right? How do we bring in that sustainability as well as part of the modernization? This particular customer was in the similar situation, what are the challenge you said, in 2019, okay? In fact, they said, you guys are very good in run and maintain, but when it comes to the driving the change, right? That's when DXC actually did a scientific and approach in order to drive this journey. Today, we are in the leading position, okay? So for example, when I say we are in the leading position, what does it mean? End result, right? We have very high level of site reliability engineering, which is propelled by our AI automations, highly efficient operations through the digital workforces. We have actually replaced manual workforces with digital bots, right? Which are self-running by itself. And most importantly, not just trying to only bring in efficiency and also embrace the modernization to bringing infrastructure code, and then also ensure that your applications or releases move to the deployment stage much faster. So time to market is improved, and the whole journey we take you through the modernization journey, right? Transforming your IT landscape, cloud adoption, moving towards cloud native development, all. So how did we do this? Okay, we were in stage 2. How did we move to stage 3? Right? There has to be some approach. Very simple. This might change to different clients based on the different maturity in that model, because some would have even ad hoc. I mean, you just take some SMEs, deploy into your thing. Could be one. Or something could be like managed stage. Somebody would have been in the mature stage also. Right? So there could be multiple stages. So the way for this particular customer, this client had, as I said, large insurance customer. We have a client in Australia, Japan, UK, Switzerland, Germany, North America. So it's like all over. So we had around 700 applications globally. DXC was managing. It used to be, I still remember in 2019, there's like 24/7. Because you know, in an insurance company, an application is not working, you lose business. It's a case for every business you are in, right? It could be banking, manufacturing, automobile. The business users don't have an access to application, it's a loss of business. It could be your customer satisfaction or volume or numbers, right? So how do we do it? So we want to bring in first, create an efficient operation through artificial intelligence, right? So as we speak, we were able to eliminate, I'll show you some of those incidents. As I stand today, 70% of incidents have been eliminated. I'll take a simple example. If you have 100 incidents coming in your portfolio, you know, to your experience, 60 to 70% don't need a code fix. I mean, you don't need to literally touch an application to resolve those incidents. 60 to 70, you know by your experience, right? Our approach actually helps to identify those incidents, eliminate and automate, right? And then balance 30% is a code fix. Anyhow, you need to get into a developer or an SME who can work on the design changes and get that done. So create an efficient operation and repurpose that investment into much more value-added work. It's a self-funding mechanism how DXC has created. For example, most of CIOs, right? I mean, you're okay to spend on CapEx, not on OpEx. So eventually, we are trying to move from operational expenditure, which is your operation runs, into modernization, which is going to help you to address your technical debt. Either through, the technical debt has multiple tenants, right? It could be a the refactoring of code which creates a security vulnerability. It could be your legacy platform which is taking your more resources, or it could be application technology as well, right? It could be multiple tenant. We'll take you through. So we repurpose that into application modernization. For this specific customer, we brought in infrastructure as code culture because we used to manage applications, infrastructure, and the workplace as well. So it's almost across the spectrum. So it is important for us to integrate all the business, right? So we actually brought in infrastructure as code. When you do that, you are basically moving towards serverless computing. And also taking your modernization from a legacy, monolithic, heavy memory consumption application into a microservice architecture or API first digital transformation, right? So DXC has something called a native container platform. So we like containers. For example, we modernized a portfolio which used to consume almost 20 servers for 13 applications. Now we have one applications taking 5 servers. That's it. And also you don't need 5 servers every time because the containers can actually scale your application based on the application demand in no time, right? So we take through those journey. Some of the numbers I called out, I'll show you as we go through. These are all real numbers. Actually, this particular customer in 2019, they said no more engagement DXC, but by then we could show them this journey and we have extended this customer for almost 6 years now. Okay, so how do we do that? So eventually when you want to modernize, address technical debt, as I said, right, there's a multiple tenants. So we have a platform and the technical and steps for every area. So we have a very simple approach to you automate everything. We talk about operations automation, but when you actually think little bit, why there are incidents in first place? See, every software development lifecycle or applications development lifecycle has lot of quality gates, right? You do a functional testing, the developer does a testing, and then you do a user acceptance testing. In spite of all this thing, you still have a problem in production. Why are those? It's because of your technical debt, right? The developer doesn't put a code which can be vulnerability free, or it's more code refactored one, right? Same way, you don't put a platform which is n-1, right? Which you don't upgrade your patches properly. So it could be multiple tenant, as I said, right? I'm not going to picking up 1 or 2 examples, but across. So you automate everything and then bring in modernization, right? As we talked about, like infrastructure as code, build once, deploy everywhere, right? And then you also embrace your legacy modernization. So DXC has a lot of next generation modernization studios which can actually do a jump start for you. So if I have a mainframe application, we can actually recreate that entire application into Java or .NET with less than 40% effort, right? So those are all the factors we do. And once we do, we also digitize, right? It's all connecting the systems. So I talked about we manage 700 applications. How do we ensure that we inform the business owners? So today, with I think Sandhanu talked about observability, right? I'll tell you how the whole ecosystem work in the context of end to end, right? So my client actually can take a report. Okay, hey, can you give me how many claims have been settled last 24 hours? Right? Say, let's say you have a campaign and there is a sales program, you want to just understand, you want to ensure that your servers are not going to go down. You can actually say, hey, can you tell me what is my server utilization of this particular application? So it can fetch you all this. So it has been connected to the IoT devices like Alexa or any other thing. You can take that report, right? And also, we talked about the monitoring, the application being monitored either through Dynatrace or App Dynamics, could be anything, right? We gather those informations, use this data in order to propel the solution designing. For example, memory leaks. Most of the challenge what we have, right, you have latency in the transaction which you are unable to replicate. We collect those information, feedback to the design changes, right? So those are all the different levels in addressing technical debts we have. So if I had to just put everything, okay, into the perspective, for example, we started here, I don't know. No, it's not coming. So the whole journey started with operations automation, right? But we did a shift left. This is where you are able to address technical debt across that spectrum, right? So if you see, I've just given you, it's very confusing, a busy slide, but I'll take you a simple flow how the normal process works, right? So when as a developer, I check in a code. I could be a Java guy, a .NET guy, or even mainframe guy, right? The moment you check in the code gets scanned for your code quality. Like in this, you might use the tools are only for references. Don't go with the tools. It could be SonarQube, or you might have Vera code. Anything can be there, right? It's a plug and play, right? So once you do that, and the build won't even start if a developer puts a code which is vulnerable. It has a security threat. The build won't even start. So the work stops there. The mail goes to him or her, and she has to fix it so that next cycle is available. Same way, if I have a code quality, so you might have some standard in your manufacturing, right? You need to ensure that these standards are implied. Then you can do. If you are doing hospital management system, there are certain business logic you need to ensure that is intact, right? You can put a code control over there as well. Then the standard, like unit testing, ensure that your functions are tested before it pushed to the production. Then everything's automated. If I'm a developer who does a very quality code, the code can be pushed into production in no time, in a click of a button. The build gets done, then it deployed into a target environment. It could be a development, your QA or a testing, and then your test automation starts. It could be your Selenium. Nowadays we are moving through the AI and ML driven test automation using Virtuoso and other tools, or even at SAP we have a test automation done, right? Once it is done, then move to production. Again, you have seen that when the application being monitored, then you do a operations automation. So we are actually taking the journey from DevOps to DevSec no ops, right? I'll take a question at the end. So a little bit, 1 or 2 slides I want to spend time. How do we take this journey of automations, right? This is where I will bring a very scientific approach. It's not something like a magic, right? So we have 4 levers called auto detect. So you have some tools like Dynatrace, App Dynamic, which is able to monitor. But monitoring is not going to help unless otherwise I bring in some value out of it. So based on the parameter, we are able to understand, our bots will actually pick that incident and log into ITSM. It's called auto detect. The moment, it could be even correlations based on the incident correlation, and then auto resolve. Based on the parameter, the bots will try to resolve the incident. I'll take a simple example. When my client says, unable to print a policy document. In a traditional way, it used to hop into multiple teams. We all know, we have seen this. When issue comes, the first reaction from developer says, no, it works in my, no problem for me. The tester says, no problem for me, right? And then it says a database problem. The database guys will say, no, it's a network problem. The network guy will say it's an application problem. There's no problem now. The bot will realize, based on the parameter through the monitoring, it detects it's a database problem. It tries to resolve it. Let's say the memory is already 98%. It tries to provision extra space so that transaction can go through, automatically resolve. So it's auto resolve. And then, let's say if there are configuration issues or data problem in your mainframe, lot of time in the overnight batch jobs run it, right? So in the banking clients or insurance, the many mainframe applications run over the night. Any one data file mismatch, next day application don't work, right? So we identify, these bots identify those data and resolves automatically. We have something called early morning validations. Every day at 5 a.m., the bots will check all 700 applications, checks all the critical business process, ensure that it's all up and running. If there are any problem, it can automatically detect incident, log a ticket, bring all the service actors. It could be application guy, database, or network person to come in, resolve right there before business comes in. So today I have a report in Power Apps to my business owners. Every day morning they see all, let's say UK, you have 130 applications, all tested, good for, he goes happily, right? So we do auto. Let's say if there are some code correction to be done, it's done. You have seen that earlier cycle, the code is built, automatically your build happens, gets deployed seamlessly to production. Everything is automated, right? And then auto manage is more of a knowledge management. For example, this is where we bring in intelligence C into our automations. For example, how do the bots can learn from it? Let's say you set a threshold limit. When there is a, let's say, 85% database usage comes, you need to provision it, right? Actually, the bot can monitor for, let's say, 2 weeks and say, I've been monitoring, it's only your 60%. Do you want to reset the threshold? You can actually bring in that. So we bring in this auto manage. So this is a framework which gives you whole outcomes. So the outcomes are phenomenal. This is I've just picked up for this customer. We've been repeating this for every clients who want to take this journey. If you look at, I said in the beginning, if you have 100 incidents, 70% of incident no need a code fix. You can see here, we are able to eliminate around 70% of incident applications. Last 4 years, touch wood, I had a 0.7 incidents in 700 applications, what we manage, right? Infrastructure, we have 1 or 2 incidents because sometimes you have some patch happening and things can go wrong. But within a minute, we can resolve that. You can see email, the ISP is nothing but infrastructure services where we are able to achieve around, again, 60%. If I bring in the AI automations, it can reflect in 2 things, right? Or 3 things. One is my incident elimination is happening. Second is application availability for your business users. We have close to 100% of business availability for all our businesses. Next is cycle time reduction. So we were able to bring in bots which can eliminate the business process. So bringing across your business process, it could be production planning, it could be your purchasing, supply chain, or it could be your application development area as well, right? So I think, yeah. So this is the story in the sense, more than a story, it's a real experience how we have done it across spectrum of technical debt, and also bringing some level of sustainability in the sense, for example, I gave you some example. When you have more server, more heat generated, and you have more resources and more problems, now we are able to, and also it becomes leaner, right? So as I said, I used to have around 400 people managing that 600 or 700 applications. Today we have less than 100 people. And they do a more value-added work. So from OPEX to CAPEX. I think that's it from me. Any questions? In this, the challenge what you face, you see it's not resonating to you in this journey what we have shared.
Yeah, I think I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
So you were just mentioning about use cases of automating production planning. So do you have any use case right now in an Indian context?
No, so for example, in the production planning, you do a capacity planning generally. When you do a capacity planning, some of the process industries, you cannot just switch on, switch off the process industry, right? I used to work in a bicycle company initial days, like TS cycles in Chennai. So if you start a painting plan, it takes like, you can't stop. It used to run for a whole month, even if I'm doing only 10,000 bicycle. What we bring in a level of capacity planning, which integrated, so it will give you run for first 2 days of black paint, next 2 days of this one, and you finished with it. So 1 week you run it, you do it. So you can actually bring in that level of planning. Integrate your ERP system to our the automation aspect. So we need to understand your real problem and then provide the solution. The framework is there.
So are you also integrated with SAP?
Yes, yes, of course, very much.
So we are a gold partner with SAP. I'm talking about Indian entity. I'm talking about doing work in the Indian context. I mean, recently we've signed up for SAP implementations, and then with a dairy company, and then there was a building constructions company. I'm talking about the Indian companies, and then there are a lot of SAP AMS, the application management contracts, which we actually are overseeing in the country. While globally, I would say we would have about 20,000 people, managing different aspects for SAP. So, but in India, yeah, there is a strong focus on the SAP. And I can just say, right, I think you saw a lot of tools, whether it is an SAP or a ServiceNow or an SFDC or, Dynatrace. With all of these, we've got the elite level partnerships. So, yeah.
And also, I think the DXC framework is such a way is that it can leverage some of your investment as well. So, for example, you already have service. So, for example, in the whole scenarios, the Dynatrace and then ServiceNow is a client instance. Our automation framework sits on top of it and provides all the thing. So, for example, in mainframe application, we bring in micro focus operation orchestration. For a standard Java and mainframe technology, we bring in either a Blue Prism or UiPath or Win automation. So, we bring in technology to suit your requirements, because we are not enforcing anything. This is what I said, is a reference platform, reference architecture. Right? So, is it making sense to your current business problem? Because the technical is one of the biggest challenge we face, and I think this was a clear testimony why this client has worked extension of our business for 6 more years, because of this journey DXC could help them in addressing.
So just want to make one point. It's okay, I think. So apart from what Kumaran is saying, so this entire automation assets that we have, because we are serving almost 2,000, 3,000 plus customers globally. So there is a lot of knowledge coming from the field. We currently have almost 50,000 plus assets. What we call assets? Assets are like, there is a particular customer problem, you fix that problem by automating it, by writing a script, or writing a code, or using a tool. That becomes an asset. It can be
Leveraged
globally.
Yes.
Right. As we speak, in fact, we were presenting to one of the customers in KOLKATA just day before yesterday. 50,000 plus assets are there ready, which can be leveraged for your platform. It is coming all as a service. You don't have to buy anything or anything. There is no license buying or anything like that. Part of our service framework.
Yeah, and maybe, Shantanu, you could also add in from an Indian customer perspective, because there was a question, right? What are we doing from an Indian customer? We've got about 100 odd customers. So what specifically, or what in generally, we've been looking at?
Customer from legacy system, using legacy system.
Yeah.
Are you doing any case study for that? In the sense, we are talking about there are industries who are using age-old legacy systems. So it's a challenge. If you are talking about a application modernization, so there is a challenge in the production system. So are you doing any case study?
So there are two parts to serve what you say. One is legacy systems where customers are running for keeping the lights on, where the customers themselves don't want to change or are too risk averse to change. I'm talking about many steel plants are still running very old level 2 automation systems, right? And some of them we are managing. In fact, in Tata Steel we are managing systems which are 30 years old and working fine, no problem. So that manageability aspect we completely cover. Now where people or the customers or technology is changing from legacy to new, that's a modernization aspect, and that's what we have all.
It also depends upon your intake. For example, how you want to keep it. So it's a cost of technical debt. So can I live with this legacy for the risk of my business? You take the call as a CIO, right? So then we bring in, for example, I was telling a security portfolio for one of our clients. It's a large portfolio. They do around 120 billion value in this, right? It was on a BB ASP application. Huge risks. Anyone can actually sneak in and mess up with a, surety bond, right? We propose a modernization into a next-gen .NET Core 5 Blazor technology, fully into microservices architecture, containerized, end-to-end. They are quite happy. They spent at least just 4 million. Look at the 120 billion revenue to a 4 million in last 2 years. And that portfolio runs in no time. And the end customers, the bond, I met some of the bond brokers. They said, I'm happy because it's usability, it gives you a very good client satisfaction. They've rated 100 out of 100. Just imagine. I'm just giving you your problem. We have solution for your problem.
Do you have use case for power sector?
Yes. We have in Europe many power plants. So you understand your problem, then we will be able to provide the framework for it.
We have integrated ERP systems, including S/4HANA, in ANZ, North America, and Europe. I can give you some names, both energy manufacturing and energy distribution.
And
Generation
India as well.
I want to put one application-specific stuff, which the question that you asked. Imagine you have written thousands of lines of code. It's an ABAP development for years. I talked about SAP, right? You have maintained that. It's become complex, and new types of invoicing, both software and hardware, are coming up your way. It's your maintenance nightmare. Just one example. In an agri major in India, we actually moved in the SAP from ECS to S4. During the time, we deactivated, not initially. We did a system problem. It's a ground fit. I have n number of lines of code. We picked up a space for it, use it. He has one-time runtime. If you want us to maintain, we do that. If you want to maintain, do that. Why is it so easy? Switch off that code. But before that, test this app, which is a BTP. Low code, work zone, you have a portal, you have backend engine. This is a transaction automation system. It is called process automation in BTP. And work zone is where you build the portal, right? We integrated this. And then we created the core of this module using OCR technology and put in a little bit of AI. I have done that, basically training the model. And training the model you can get out of the box. Are you going to invent all of this inside SAP, or are you going to use, extend it? So next time, 5 years, 10 years, 50 years down the line, there's a magic kind of target. We'll all go to SaaS, because SaaS will be the sort of, an environment where my cost of maintenance will be lowest, assumably. Because the back-end code you don't have to write. The back-end code is there, the OEM's property, whether you use Ariba or use Copa.
Across industry you would have seen if technology is tech strategy, it has not worked across the fiber of the organization. You've got to elevate that status and take it to a business strategy, cutting across the different needs. Second point that I want to make in is, what was modernization yesterday has kind of become legacy today.
Yes, you're right, sir. Right, sir.
Modernization today will become legacy tomorrow, at some point of time, just to make it better.
Right, sir.
Third is legacy is not bad.
Yeah. We heard that exactly.
Because I think you've got to time that shift of change.
Right.
So putting it in one frame by which you say that let's look back and take a future forward or a future back as well, may seem easy theoretically, but you've got to time it as well, because multiple pieces of investment, resources, productivity, yield, energy, throughput, quality,
And the
also come in.
perceived ROI of whatever you would want to
But
do.
also what mentioned was in the production planning as well, how do you go about it, which is one
Right.
piece of supply chain.
Right, sir.
Fourth point is, between, let's say, your transformation, it will be more business-led, because can be tech, cannot be tech as well. I think digitalization plays a vital role,
Right, sir.
because that's where you decide what you want to take it in short term or a long term as well. We as an organization from Tata's Group, we have a tendency to look at, let's say, 20 years or 25 years. So we
Right.
have a plan of, let's say, may look, because it can keep on getting updated, but we have a plan for 2045, 2050 as well. I mean, that's a spread that we take it through.
Right.
It gets validated over a period of time, and it changes as well. That's an insight with which we are looking at.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
I mean, and since we are the customers as well, one challenge that we constantly keep on facing is, I mean, is this going to work, let's say, 5 years down the line?
Right, sir. Right. I mean,
So how upgradation in terms of service offering that we get versus what we do.
how quickly it becomes obsolete, and how do you get your right? Right. Absolutely. No, absolutely. Any other question? Any other insights? If you have. Else, what I'd request you is if you can fill in this form. We've got a feedback form on your tables, and we've got a little token of thank you for you. You can just hand over this feedback form to the people outside, and then you can get that. Yeah. So it's just.
Don't want you to miss your lunch. So.
And also collect your cards.
Oh, yeah, please, yeah. And if you've not dropped in your cards, please do that as well. There's a bowl kept outside.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all for being with us here today. There is a bowl outside, so please do drop your cards over there, and we will be giving you a small token of appreciation from both DXC and ABP. So please collect it on your way out, and on your ID card, a small sticker will be put so that we can have a record of all of the attendees for the session. And there is the attendance sheet outside, so please ensure you have signed it, and if you haven't, please do sign it on your way out. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks everyone.
Thank you, everyone.